Morning everybody, it's Chris here from Serene Education with the 4 majors analysis update for this Friday the 23rd of September 2011. Folks, just going to go over the CTC this morning. This is our template, the count the cash system on the 4 majors. Going to start with the euro and then work my way through. So daily, what have we seen? Well, yesterday had a lot of selling at the back end, all the negativity out there on the markets, strength really just pushing it lower as a lot of worry came out of the States, and the euro in particular. We saw real worry euro side. Greece is on everybody's lips at the moment now. It's just counting days, I think, before we see some sort of a result that we're going to see Greece default. It's crazy, absolutely nuts. A lot of financial ministers out there are also they don't want to mention it, but it looks like they're mentioning it in so that we could be seeing a double dip. Yeah, very, very scary out there. Not looking good at all, and yeah, it's just panic selling. That's the only word I can call it. It's just panic. But what it's done, it's taken the euro straight through very strong support and resistance level that we had before, the 13,500. And we can see prices traded Asian markets, quite a lot of movement on the Asian session. And there again, Asian markets pretty much picked up from where the US session closed, and we saw an open and price really moved to the upside correlated, but that correlation didn't go any further than the previous or the body of the wick. You have the swing, which happened to be the open of yesterday's candle, the Asian session, and now we're trading the bottom end of the wick. So if we can stay below 13,500, then psychologically we should be looking at that as our intraday support resistance, and if it stays below that, then obviously we can see further downside movement. So let's look intraday. Let's plot those figures down. So 13,500, there we go. That's the boy there. You can see price action on a 4-hour chart. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 hours of pullback on this pair. You can see, however, that price action, bar that fake out that we saw here, you can still see that momentum previous swing over here, for example, was in tune with the downtrend. Moving average all evening space out, and look at that CTC, beautiful, broken through all the moving averages, breakout, pullback, continuation. Fantastic 4-hour trade this, but you can see that we're now trading below, or just testing a 13,500, which happened to be price strong support and resistance on our daily. So that's going to be our support area. It's trading above that, and obviously we can see further extensions higher. Trading below that, then we could possibly see price reverting to the downside after this correlation from yesterday's selling. Noticeably a lot of selling yesterday, and then we've had this pullback going into the latter part of the US session, and Asian market has kind of took it higher but failed to keep it at those levels, and we saw price fall back. 13,600 is going to be our target. If we find support at 13,500, then we see a bounce higher. CTC is in our favor on the 2 time frames. Still need to see a cross, or the CTC on the other side to go blue. We've now broken below that 13,500 again, so we could see consolidation. Daily, if we see a close below 13,500, then we should be seeing further shorting opportunities unfold, and we could look at the prior low wick here, if you really wanted to, as our first target. Here at 1338.50 is our first target. So look for potential resistance at 13,500. If we see a good support, a nice bullish up candle on, say, a 30-minute and an hourly, then we should be looking at 13,600 as our first target, and then a push higher than that would ultimately see this area here, a lot of price support with the 1370, which will be roughly around the institution moving average as our second target, for this pair. Moving on to sterling against the US dollar, good old cable. Let's have a look at daily. Here again, sheesh, it is crazy. Cable has been dropping like an absolute rock. Seen so much momentum to the downside, it's frightening. We spoke not too long ago, indecision, followed by further indecision, but that was coming in resistance at 1575, so that was our intraday ceiling level. Failing to see price running above that before we saw the US session kicked in. Mentioned that we were probably looking for further downside movement, so off it happened. That's just crazy. And where are we off to now? It's literally bounced on the 153500, and 153500 is that very strong support and resistance level. So we could see a consolidation here. If it breaks below that, well, sheesh, it's it's not looking rosy at all. It's absolutely looking rather revolting. We have some consolidation support here at 1500. Further support and resistance here just above the 14900 mark. But ultimately, we saw another one here at 147,500. But ultimately, way down here at 14,300. So if we don't see support at this level today, 15,3500, because of this long price support and resistance, then we could see ultimately further bearishness creeping into this pair. So trading above 13,500 could see potential bounce to the upside. That bounce could be possibly a pullback of some fib. We could see that during the Asia market session, 23.6 was the ceiling level. We could go up to 38.2 or 50, which will take us back to this trend line, a major trend line to the downside. So it's looking quite rosy for further bearishness, but we could see consolidation today being a Friday, some consolidation taking place. Have a look at the news to see if there's anything realistically out there that's going to really pose a threat, but if anything, I think it's still going to be the noise out there that the European market's doing with the Greece default, possible defaulting, and just the negativity overall, just the scaremongery. It's causing all this negativity selling. We go into the US dollar Swiss franc, good old Swissy. Here again, US dollar rallying, especially after the US government yesterday sold short-term security bonds, and with the same amount of money they made from those selling opportunities, they bought longer-term securities, 7 to 12 year out, I think it was, and just to try and get some money flowing, get some positiveness in the market, and it's been happening. I mean, it just, this continuation is primarily because it's taken on from the Swiss government obviously picking their currency. There was talk that they're actually going to raise that from 120 to 125 just to really get it going. But you can see the US dollar has really been rallying after that break of that institution moving average here at the 8,900 mark and above price support and resistance, and we literally tested we're off to potentially testing the 9250 mark, which happens to be a price support and resistance level, the next one after this break. Nice clean air between there and now. We saw yesterday price moving higher, but we saw a pullback of equal measure, 50% pullback on that trade. But the Asian market trading session has traded slightly damp, quite a small trading range, but nonetheless we should still be looking at 92.50 as our first potential target as we make our way to the upside. Consolidation range between 92.50 and 93.50, you can see there. So that's going to be a consolidation range. So if it keeps posting high, if we can keep testing the highs of yesterday, or sorry, the close of yesterday, then we should see further extensions higher. So if we look at price action where it is now, that, if I'm not mistaken, is the 9100 mark. So intraday, that's going to be our support and resistance level. So if we can trade above 9100, stay above 9100, then we're looking for potential further highs. If we can't get above that area intraday, then what we could see is a potential pullback, and that pullback will be coinciding with price support and resistance levels on the bottom. In the Asian market session, we saw a bounce that coincided with the prior resistance level here at 93.035. So higher swings dictating, or price action in this case. That's the intraday upside trend. on this pair. So consolidating in this range over here, need to break above the 9100 in order to see at least the prior highs here being tested at, what do we have here? 9180 as our potential first target for this pair. Break above that, as I mentioned, the higher highs of 9250 and possibly 9350 being our targets on the daily. So CTC is still in our favor. However, we have a correlation consolidation set up here with the red arrow, red candle. So if we break lower, then we could ultimately be going back to this this major trend line, or intraday major trend line to the upside here as our first potential target. If we don't, then we could be looking at ultimately 89.50 as our first stop, thereabouts. But as long as it trades above, if it can get over 91.10, then we should be looking further upside. Maybe if it fails to, then we could be looking at consolidation here. You see there's a ceiling level here just before the close of the US session. So look at 91.10 as a ceiling level. Needs to be trading above. US dollar, Japanese yen. Hey, 76.50, strong support for a long period of time. That's excluding the wicks. If you've taken the wicks, for example, this past one over here at 76.20, we had a break of 76.50 2 days ago, then indecision candle, yes, and then literally you could have had your, well, if you had taken the break of this candle over here, the break of 76.50 as your entry, you would have made your target, if any target, at 72.20. And then yesterday's trading range, very high. US dollar bouncing on great figures at after the sale of those the short-term securities and the purchase of long-term securities by the Fed government. But that didn't really stack up that much because we saw price really pulling back during the the US session and forming this this candle here with a very long exhaustion wick on the top, price action on the bottom. But it hasn't failed. The Asian market session has been trading very, very tentatively, but it hasn't closed or closed lower than the low of this wick here at 76.20 or 76.18 or some sort. Not looking favorable. I don't like that exhaustion candle here. The bottom doesn't bode well. But as long as 76.18 still stays in play, then we should see potential for correction. A break below this morning or this US session today would see ultimately further selling occurring on this pair. And where next? Where next for this pair? Wow, I mean, you just took the bottom here. It's just looking crazy stupid. If you take the prior swing low, the intervention, and where we are now, it's looking like we are literally trading at a very strong support area. Support, potentially further support over here. Not much of a trading range. 7600 potentially could be our next target, but have a look and see what you can plot a relative strength index on here to see exactly if you're seeing RSI starting to strengthen as we see further selling on this, and it'll give us a heads up. So let's just have a quick look on this one. Yeah, look at that. As we've seen further selling, well, to a degree, correlation sideways and further selling over here. Notice what the RSI has been doing. Very, very important. RSI, that's where the first one happened at the support at 76.50, yeah? The next bounce was lower than this prior candle, also at 76.50, but happens to be higher than that. Very interesting. Next bounce, same 76.50, but higher than the previous high. So that bounce there is higher than that. And then the next one, another bounce at 76.50, which happens to be higher. But this is where it starts getting interesting now. We're starting to get lower. The RSI is starting to point down, which is giving us an indication that it's moving in price action direction. But we're testing that area now with yesterday's candle, for example. Yesterday's candle was lower, but the RSI was still higher. Well, still in this upside trend. The only thing we really got to worry about is that it was lower than the previous one. So we can see price action is correct because it isn't in tune with the relative strength index. Need to see lower swings when price is swinging low. Need to see, if you want to see a, how can I say it, divergence occurring on price, then you need to see the total opposite happening. Let me put that at the bottom here. You'll probably see it a lot better as prices trading lower you can see that the RSI is trading higher, which is not confirming. It doesn't make any, it's converging now because of that. RSI is, and we should see possibly a potential for price action correction. Okay, hope it makes sense. Relative strength is gaining, is returning to positive, even though we're still on the downside trading positive. Or there's more buying sentiment trying to creep into this market as price has been making its way to the downside. Okay, so we should see correction soon. Ideally, we've got to see a bounce now occurring. We could be looking possibly 7600, 7650 now as the correction area. So heads up, is it worth trading? Not really, because the US dollar has been gaining strength. The US dollar index has been gaining strength. We are now going towards 80, so we could see possibly the US dollar rallying quite soon. In order to break all that, and then we need to see it trading below this trend line, the support trend line at the bottom, which should be below 76. If it trades below 76, then we should be looking for further downside movement. That's it, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. Please, please, please follow the rules of CTC. So important. Most importantly, back it up with sound money management. As I mentioned, I keep mentioning, and I will keep mentioning it. No great template out there or no great strategy will ever do well if you don't back it up with sound management. Okay, very, very important. And then be patient. I posted some really great figures yesterday, but I hadn't been really finding I tend to trade longer term time frames, so there have been a lot of opportunities, but very, very volatile opportunities. Yesterday was a great opportunity for me. Made some great returns, which kind of helped stem not a hell of a lot of trading recently, because Nikki and I have been quite busy this side in terms of the business. Teaching students, etc. So trading hasn't been that much, but yesterday, yeah, it was great, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. Just trading a lot of momentum, which is fantastic, because you're just trading the big dogs. They're dictating, and we're just following suit. So yeah, just remember that in trading. Rather be patient is key in Forex or any market. Just be very, very patient, because you shall be rewarded. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend with family and friends, and I'll see you on Monday. Trade Serene.